Hey there everyone, Mazarok here, and today I'm going to be going into a deeper dive into the Druid from a more beginner aspect on my road to attempting to become an expert on this as I main it in Shadowlands. Let's go. So one of the first things that I like about the Druid, especially from a beginner perspective, let's say you're trying to figure out what class to play and you don't know what role you'd like to fill. Tanking, healing, ranged, or melee DPS. The Druid is the one and only class in this game that can do it all. You can tank with the Guardian spec. You can heal with Restoration. Balance is your ranged DPS spec, and melee is your melee DPS spec. Now, up front, I don't know a lot about Feral Druids for the melee spec. I have quested with it from time to time. It has been fun, but for questing, I tend to prefer the Guardian Bear. So, let's go ahead and take a look at each spec. Let's hop into the Guardian Druid and the Bear. Now, one thing I really like about the Bear Druid is how easy and intuitive it felt to learn, especially from a tanking perspective. Now, back in Cataclysm, I had mained 3 tanks: Warrior, Paladin, and Death Knight. Maining the Warrior and Death Knight side of things. Coming back during COVID quarantine, I decided that I give tanking another go, and I leveled myself up a Druid. It was one of the few that I've never played, so I was like, let's try it out. I was surprised at how easy and intuitive it was to get back into it, and while placing everything in spec, I totally forgot swipe existed, and yet at level 15, not having a single ability that is off cooldown and just off the global skill cooldown, I still managed to be pretty high up on the DPS charts, but for low level tanks, it's usually what the norm. But I had no problems keeping aggro on anything, which I found very, very surprising, especially after I did 1 or 2 dungeons without swipe, and I still had no problems holding on to aggro and taunting or anything. I was able to pool mobs very, very easily, and that was really, really nice. Then I remembered, or I found out swipe existed like a total noob, and my life got a whole lot easier. I like a lot where the spec is going, so come pre-patch, as of this video, pre-patch will be in just a couple of days, so all of the Shadowlands changes are coming. I like the fact that they got rid of Lunar Beam at the end talent, and went with Tooth and Claw. That was a really, really nice change, and I really like how you can, a lot like the Death Knight, you can change your abilities to kind of fit the situations at hand between raiding and dungeons, so it's not always like you just have to play this one cookie cutter and that's it. You can change around your play style if you feel like you need more damage mitigation or things like that, and I really, really like that. So that's a big help. And if you're leveling a Druid, especially while questing, a lot of people complain about damage. The way I quested with a Guardian Druid, especially if I had to kill X amount of creatures, I would just aggro everything. You're not going to die. You're a tank. You've got self-sustained healing with frenzied regeneration, and you've got really good AoE. So instead of focus on taking 1 enemy down at a time, I was taking down 6, 7, 8 enemies, as many as I could pull up, and taking them down. It actually made for faster questing. Now, where it was a little bit slower was, hey, go kill this one bigger target enemy, suggested 3 players. Now, I never had a struggle killing it. It just took a little bit longer than some of the heftier DPS classes. But my health bar never went below 90%, and if it did, I could just frenzied regen, and it would stay that way for 30 seconds to a minute. So I really, really enjoyed all those aspects about bear tanking, and I found it really, really fun to play, and it's still really, really good endgame. Right now, I'm learning Mythic Dungeons because I was planning on holding that off until Shadowlands came out and everybody had a fresh start, but with the delayment of Shadowlands, I said, my guild still wants to run Mythics, and right now we have one really, really good tank who's on all the time, but we can't rely on one tank. So we have a couple of off tanks as well, but they like to play other classes, and especially towards the end of BFA, not everybody's inclined to attempt to tank and push Mythic keys on some of their alts, and this is something that I want to do. So now that it's not a 2-week period until Shadowlands is out, in a couple of months. Let's learn the mythic dungeons, and that's kind of my mindset going forward. So I really, really do like the Guardian tank, if you don't get that out of the way that I'm talking about it. Really easy to learn, big point there, and a lot of fun as well. And the restoration, the affinities that you can get as well, you can swap those out. So for questing, I'd like to go Feral Affinity. I didn't need the healing as much, and Frenzied Regen was pretty good. So I go for big kind of bite damage, I go Feral Affinity. And then for big tanking damage, I go in my Guardian. I go in the bear form. So there's a lot of good synergy there. And in dungeons, of course, the extra healing is always nice with the restoration affinity. So that's my quick bear guide. Just kind of, if you'd like to play it, these are the things to look out for and some of your main abilities. And then on next, we will go to Restoration Druid. Now, with the Restoration Druid, I like a lot of the changes that are coming for it in Shadowlands. I really liked playing Resto Druid in PvP in BFA. I thought it was a lot of fun. I didn't think I'd enjoy healing as much, but one of my favorite classes to play is a Warlock and Affliction, dots that kill. Well, Restoration Druid is a lot of dots that save, let people stay alive. And I was surprised at how fun I actually enjoyed that in PvP. And I enjoyed the PvE content on it as well. There's a lot of different builds with the Resto Druid that you can do to really tailor how you like to heal. So that's one of the things that I found really, really fun. I had a PvP one that I would change from here or there depending on what map I got. And then, of course, I had a PvE one depending on doing raiding or dungeons or things like that. And I found it a lot of fun. One of the big talents that I'm looking forward to in Shadowlands and pre-patch is Overgrowth is now a talent ability and not a PvP ability, which allows you to put all of your dots on one single target at once with one click of a button, and I think it's like a 45-second cooldown. You do get some nice AoE healing. Resto Druids are really looking like they're going to be the kings of Mythic Plus healing again. A lot of their kit is mobile and versatile as well, and of course you have Rebirth for the battle res. And then, of course, you got slows, typhoons, mass entangles. You got a lot of different options that you can do there. And it makes also PvP a lot more fun as well. Because if you want to just be focus healer and just on that, you go to Guardian, you'll take less damage. And if you have someone that is really attacking you, you can go into the bear form. And once you put Overgrowth on yourself, go bear form, Frenzied Regen. No one is going to be able to kill you. Reinforcements can come and save you. You get back to healing them. It is a very nice synergy there. For questing as well, you can go Feral as well. I find there's not as much good synergy with Balance, but there is. But with Feral, I like the fact that you can prowl around a lot more and kind of do that really big sneak type damage and stuns. But Balance is also another good one to quest with. It hits really hard, scales with your intelligence. So I think Resto Druid is just all around in a great place. If you like healing and you like dot management, because you have to manage your dots on your targets to keep them alive, which I personally find is a very, very fun playstyle for me, but it's not for everyone. Resto Druid can really, really feel that niche, and you can have a lot of fun with it. And up next, we're going to do the Feral Druid. So the Feral Druid, the good old kitty cat. Now, Feral Druid plays a lot like the Rogue does. You expend energy, you gain combo points, which you then get to expend on big bites, big stuns, big bleeds, and things like that. And I find, especially for single target damage, if I'm doing some questing or things like that, or PvP. Now, I haven't played much Feral Druid in PvP because the sneak around style is just not quite me. I either like charging in or staying in the back and kind of managing the situation from there. But I have most definitely cursed a few Feral Druids, or at a few Feral Druids through my computer in PvP, especially the ones that know how to play them and know how to manage the combo points, knowing when to stun, when to bleed, things like that. I have definitely cursed out a few Feral Druids through my computer. I find they're a lot of fun, especially if you like that rogue aspect of playing, but you're looking for a spec that can offer a little bit more and a little bit more variety. The Rogue is insanely good at what it does, and I find the Feral Druid is really good at what it does, but it just has a few more versatile options, because of course being a Druid, you bring that battle res, and you do have other options and slows and stuff that you can use, and you can change your affinity as well. So you can go Restoration affinity and spec into Heart of the Wild. So let's say your healer goes down and you need some quick healing right off the bat, you hit Heart of the Wild and you have like 30 to 45 seconds, depending on how Shadowlands is going to finally pan that out by the time it gets released live. And just do heavy healing, and you might get through a raid encounter, not a raid encounter, probably not a raid encounter unless it's that last little bit, but you might get through a mythic dungeon pull or something like that, and then that will allow you to kind of not wipe, get the healer back up, and keep moving. And I find there's a lot of fun play styles that you can play with the kitty cat. Every once in a while, I find myself when I'm questing, sometimes I just like going feral and just, I have a lot of fun. It deals good damage. It's pretty survivable, and it can be a lot of fun. So Feral Druid, if you like sneaking around, prowling, and doing big stuns, big bites, big bleeds, that's definitely a good spec for you to go. And now for what I'm probably going to be maining if I don't end up tanking, we're going to take a look at the balance spec. And for balance is your range DPS spec. Right now in Battle for Azeroth, it's fun, it's good, but it does have a middle ceiling, if you so would, given the fact that Starfall just really doesn't do much damage unless you have like 8+ targets. Your dots don't deal as much as you'd like. They're changing a lot of that for Shadowlands. They are buffing Starfall, which is your AoE ability, and your dots are going to deal some more damage. Aside from that, for single target spending, you've got Star Surge, which is instant cast in Moonkin form, your chicken form. Here what you'll see is I am playing a Zandalari Feral Druid, so they got more of the pterodactyl look because they're dinosaur based. And then of course you have your Eclipse System, which is kind of your Moonkin mechanic. So cast in Shadowlands, casting 2 either Solar Wrath or Lunar Fire or Starfire, sorry, will put you into an eclipse of the opposite one, empowering that all of those moves for 15 seconds. Depending on which eclipse you are, you'll get either increased haste and crit and things like that. So it's a really fun management system instead of the empowerment ability that we kind of had now or had in BFA. I've tested out the Eclipse System a bit on dummies and things like that, and I find it's actually a lot more fun. It's a lot more intuitive, and it works really, really nice. And of course you get your versatile Druid kit that comes with everything. With being a Druid, and then your big kind of, bursty cooldown is your Celestial Alignment, where you get both Eclipse at once, and you can just start spamming Star Surges, Solar Wrath, Starfires, and it's a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed that. I think they're still a little undertuned, but as I've said in my Intro to WoW video, any class can be amazing and top of the DPS charts, but it all depends on the player. What you bring to the table, how well you know it, how well you know the encounters at the end game as well, when you can do what. I have seen lower level metas or low meta characters just literally wipe the floor with meta tunes that didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know the fight, they didn't know the encounters, they didn't know when to dodge, they didn't know the best time to hit that here's all my damage button. So I think with balance, I'm just going to have to be a little bit more tuned to the fights themselves. I'm going to have to know them a little bit better, so then that way I can be like, this is my time to shine, and really work it that way. But all in all, I think balance is in a really, really good spot. They've got a lot of good things to bring to, a lot of good versatility items and utility items to bring to Mythic Plus, and I think they're going to be a lot of fun. So this is going to be my main raid spec, I think, as long as our tanking scenario works out well, which I honestly do believe it will. We've got a couple amazing tanks in our guild, and I'm really, really looking forward to playing with them. And they are currently teaching me how to do the mythic dungeons and stuff as well while rolling, and they've been an absolute great source of material for me. So with that, my main thoughts on the Druid. They're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun to quest through. They're very versatile. You've got easy healing. They're great in all scenarios, raiding, PvP. Their ease of functionality, I think it's one of those classes that's really easy to learn and pick up on, but it's kind of difficult to master. And with that comes that fun challenge. And that's what I enjoy. If you're telling me that something is difficult to master, I love it. Let's do it. Easy to learn, great. I can pick it up, I can be decent at it right off the bat, but then learning all the fine tunings and all the little timings and things like that, that to me, that just screams hella fun, really. So I think if you're planning on playing a class and you don't know what spec you want to play or what role you want to fill, try a Druid. Even for the lower levels, if you don't really care for the class that much, test out the range, Get to level 15, 20, get your first abilities through and things like that, and really test them out. Kind of go through and quest and see which one you like the best. Are you going to like all 4? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it's, you know, it's 4 completely different styles of play in one spec. So perhaps you really find that you like balance and you want to play that range spec, but balance just isn't doing it for you. Well, then you can, then you know that you might like a mage or a warlock or something of that sort. So that's my first thoughts on the Druid. That's my initial thoughts after some playstyle as well, kind of my quick review. I really do like where they're going in Shadowlands. I think it is a big improvement on where they're at now, and I already like where they're at now. So that's big for me, right? I liked playing a Druid in BFA. I thought it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun questing. I had a lot of fun in any content. If I brought it to a raid, or if I brought it to a mythic dungeon or a dungeon in general, or whatever I brought it to, I found that I always had the spec to fill. So it's like, oh, we need a healer. Okay, cool. Just let me set up my Resto spec. Oh, you know what? We really need a ranged DPS. Oh yeah, cool. I'll just get my balance set going. We need a tank. I'm going to Guardian. So you can really fit any role, and by doing that, you can easily get invited anywhere. So that's another thing that I really, really liked about it. It's the elitist culture of WoW, which is kind of there, and there's not much anyone can dissuade me to say it's not. I mained a warlock. Getting into mythic dungeons as a warlock is a nightmare if you're not going in with a guild, because almost nobody wants you. There's a few people that know what they're capable of and they'll take you in pretty quickly, but that's not the norm. People just see warlock and be like, yeah, I'm not taking that, and you will get favored over other classes. But that is an entirely different discussion about an entirely different portion of the game. But I found with the Druid, I never had that issue. No matter what spec I brought to the table, people were more than willing to take me, and take me quickly. And if you like joining those types of groups and you're big on kind of pugging to get your content done and relying less on your guild, a Druid is a very, very good way to do that, especially with the balance, Resto, and Guardian forms. I like to see Feral get a little bit better than what they are in Shadowlands and BFA, but we'll see what happens. But in the right hands, Feral can be a nasty, nasty thing to go up against in PvP. So if you have any more questions about Druids, or if you'd like a more in-depth coverage of the specs, where they're going, where they're going to be at level 50 when pre-patch drops, let me know. This is I'm doing this as a guide for you guys as well, but this is also part of me to try and become an expert on this class and try and give everything Druid on over to you guys to get better as being Druids as well, and perhaps fall in love with the class. I stream on Twitch every Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern is our live play Dungeons & Dragons Rime of the Frost Maiden stream. We are currently a few sessions in, and it has been a lot of fun. Now, it did have to take a small hiatus because I did have a rib injury that I suffered at Hop, Skip, Jump with my kids. I jumped into a place that I was not supposed to and hit a metal crossbar, and I hurt 3 ribs fairly badly. Aside from that, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. It does go a long way. If you would like to support this channel directly, hit that Patreon link in the description box below. There are some free goodies on there for pretty much everyone, mostly D&D related, of course. And lastly, if there's anything that you would like to see me cover on World of Warcraft as well, any class that you would like to see more in-depth coverage of, where they're going in Shadowlands, do comment below. I'd love to hear from you, and see where we can take this channel. Aside from that, I thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.